welcome back to SuperDoc Stories. I'm your host, Dr. Marissa Caudill, and it's my pleasure today to be speaking with Dr. Kimberly Johnson-Hatchett. She is a board-certified neurologist, and she recently left her position as the Chief Medical Officer at the Kansas City VA hospital system and is now starting a new venture. So welcome, Kimberly.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm great. I'm so excited to talk to you about your journey. We just learned before we started recording, I just learned a bunch of things about you. So you are a TEDx speaker. Why don't we start with that? Like, how did you get on the TEDx stage? How did you get the idea for what you were talking about, and how did it go?
So pretty interesting. I've always wanted to do a TEDx. I think a lot of people have that as their bucket list. Like, I want to do it. And one of my friends did one. And so she was a close enough friend that I said, "Hey, how'd you do that?" And she told me about this woman who lives at the time, she lived in Poland, who was an expat. And she said this woman helps people find their voice. And I said, that sounds really like hocus pocus. And she said, no, seriously, this person is helped me get the TEDx. And so I contacted this person. Unbeknownst to me, I had already been messaging with this woman back and forth about just random stuff. Like we had just
Huh.
randomly met each other online, and it was the same person. And so
Wow.
then I started her program, which she was like, well, you need to start doing TikToks. And I was like, what? Okay. And so I said, well, do you have a TikTok? I said, yeah, I did like a Christmas, yay, it's Christmas TikTok thing. I said, but I don't do TikToks for real. And she said, no, you need to do this. And I started doing TikToks, and one of them went viral. And the one that went viral was the one where I talked about the gradual weakening of America. And I think people thought I was going down a rabbit hole of one topic, but I was really seriously talking about sarcopenia, and that I was seeing
Mm.
patients getting weaker and weaker, and that I knew that that weakness and frailty, after that comes frailty of the mind. And that was something that I could see in our future as a country. And me working at the VA, having a lot of respect for people who do things for their country, and I'm working for the government. So I was thinking, okay, we've got to figure this thing out. Um, and so that became the topic of my um, TEDx. But it goes even further than that, because I am a non traditional physician. My background's in finance and banking. So I had no medical anything going into my journey of becoming a physician, but I had envisioned myself becoming a doctor. So much so that I used to go to the medical school that I ended up going to and graduating from. On my way to work at General Motors as a logistics manager, I would stop by there and envision myself being a doctor there.
Oh,
I
that's
would do that
fascinating.
on a daily basis. So even when I applied and didn't get in twice. So the third time I finally did get into a post-bac program, not medical school, I still knew that I was going to be a doctor. And I didn't realize that I was activating this system in my brain that was basically propelling me to do all the things that I needed to do to become a physician. So I
Yeah.
thought during the TED Talks and trying to prepare for that, I thought that why can't we activate that system and envision ourselves being strong, being um, aging well, and not retiring to like the good life, the slow life, but retiring to a strong, healthy brain, a strong, healthy life where we are active and viral.
Viral.
So um,
Viral and viral. Hopefully both.
all of those
Viral
things,
on TikTok and viral. Viral on
viral.
TikTok for
And
our
so
virility.
those combination of things is what ended up becoming a TEDx.
I love that so much. I really, really love it. So, um, what was the experience like for you? I mean, you don't just hop up on that stage, right? So you must have had to do a lot of, I'm guessing,
Preparation.
practice,
Yeah.
coaching. Like, what did you do to prepare?
So most TEDx, it's because TEDx is not TED, it's TEDx. They're separate like
Yeah.
entities. And this one provides you with a coach. And so you're being coached virtually because I would say maybe three people were in the city that I went to. I was at a university, Missouri Science and Technology was their TEDx. Um, and you do all these sessions where you practice, 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 practice. And they say, okay, you need to get it, your talk is 15 minutes, you need to get it down to 10. This is where we're going to cut it. And we would have to cut different parts out. And then the day before you get there and you rehearse and rehearse and rehearse, and you don't come out of the red dot, don't move, stand, quit moving, so they're very like, you got to
Yeah,
get it down. And that night, they said, if you make a mistake, we'll figure out a way to cut it. Don't worry, just start again. You'll be fine. And we were fine. So
I love
it was
it.
a lot,
So
but it worked out.
I can only imagine. So a couple years back, I did a speaker intensive training with this company called Speakers Institute.
Hmm.
And it was very much like that, like throw you in the fire, right? Like we were in this hotel ballroom, and at first, you think you're going to get a lot of lectures about how to give a talk, but they were just like, get up there, give me your pitch. It was like, here's the notes, go do it again, do it again. And by the third day, we gave a 6-minute video talk. It wasn't a
Hmm.
TEDx talk. It was not nearly that polished. And of course, it was like a whole room full of 100 people getting all of that attention. It wasn't like a few, but still, I can see how quickly I got better just by forcing myself to do it. And had I never
Yeah.
done that, I wouldn't have gotten better. So I think it is definitely a learnable skill. I love that you did it. So was it from that viral TikTok that then you applied to get a TEDx talk, or did they come find you, or how did it go down?
Oh, I applied. So
Yeah.
I think that TED, I think they come get you, but TEDx, you apply.
Okay.
So anybody that's done a TEDx has applied to do that and has gone through the application process, because initially it was all written. Everything was written out, and you were, talking a little bit, but they really wanted to understand the idea. And so the idea was well, like written out. They wanted you to cite your research, understand what, especially coming from a scientific standpoint. It's not like I'm coming
Hmm.
up with this random, idea that, they can just kind of jump on, like, the high five habit or whatever, like that Mel Robbins kind of came up with on her own.
Right.
This is something that they wanted to vet from a science standpoint. So I had to provide all of that information as well.
And then you told me it's about the default mode network. And then you told this incredible story of how, well, first of all, I want to go back. So you were working for General Motors in
Hmm.
finance. And why did you want to become a doctor? Like, where did that, or was it just a calling you always had or a desire you always
No,
had?
not at all. So before General Motors, I actually worked for Merck Pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
And, it was that gave me the idea that I had the aptitude for medicine, because most drug reps or most drug rep companies make their drug reps memorize the package insert. We've got that
Hmm.
memorized. We've read through all the studies. And, we might look cute, but there's a brain underneath that cuteness when you're presenting to the healthcare
So
provider,
wait, were
right?
you one of the drug reps in like the
Yeah.
heydays in the 90s of like going into all
Yeah.
the offices and like taking the doctors to dinner and stuff? Yeah.
That was me.
I'm sure you were great at it.
I enjoyed it, but what it ignited in me was that I realized that I had the aptitude, and at the same time, I was also going through a divorce, and I
Mm,
realized that I had no one else to answer to but myself and God, and that I'd been given this aptitude to understand medicine and ability to explain it in a way that common people could really understand. So I thought, why not me? And I remember the same person that did that TEDx, and I said, how'd you do that? She and I were actually out running, because she and I were friends even before all this. And I told her that I think I want to apply to medical school. And without missing the beat, she said, of course you can. We'll just figure out a way for you to get it done.
was she
And
already a physician then? Or she's not a
she was
physician?
married to a physician. She was a psychologist.
Okay.
And my friends circle started to change when I made that decision. They were
Mm.
all physicians, young physicians that looked like me. It was like this thing just was pushing me towards it. And I remember taking the prerequisites, and at the time I was like, okay, I got to get a job that's going to allow me to take classes during the day. So General Motors came along, and I applied for that position. So literally it was an in-between position. I was working for General Motors at night and taking prerequisites for medical school during the day. And I did that for 4 years, literally. And that, I mean, and I had gotten all the prerequisites, applied, didn't get in. So I thought, well, maybe I'll take biochemistry, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that, trying to make my application better. And then one of my friends who's an ophthalmologist said, you need to do a post-bac program. That's going to get you into medical school. And I said, well, what is that? She explained to me what it was. I applied to like 15 post-bac programs and got into one. And I said, okay, that's all I need is to move.
Hmm.
I moved across the country to Erie, Pennsylvania, where
Wow.
it snows on average of 100 inches a year. It's awesome. So and I was like, "Oh, great." But that's all I
Where
needed.
are you from originally?
From Kansas City, Missouri, from
Oh, okay, that's where you're
Raytown,
born and raised.
Missouri. And
Okay.
so right in the smack dab in the Midwest. So I've seen snow, but we don't get 100 inches of snow.
Yeah, yeah,
And it gets hot. It doesn't get hot up in Erie. It's like it might get hot now because of global warming, but it back then it was like, maybe 80 for like a week, and then the rest of it was like in the 70s. It was very
yeah.
different.
Hmm.
So did that for a year and got into 4 different medical schools from there. And that school that I envisioned me going to is where I ended up going.
I really love your stories, Kimberly. Like, I'm just hearing, from a young age, you've had this idea of, I know where I'm going, and it might take me a year, it might take me 10, but that's where I'm going. Like, it just doesn't waver. It sounds like you're just tenacious in your destination once you decide on it.
Yeah. So
So let's talk about the new destination. Let's talk about what you're building now. So to just kind of make it very brief, like, you worked your way up as a neurologist through healthcare administration. You worked for 10 years and ended up as the top chief medical officer at your hospital. And then,
and then I decided to walk away from what everyone would say, "Oh, it's the dream job." Um, but it wasn't my dream. Like I knew that there was something else out there. And I had paid off my medical school loans. Like I had gotten everything forgiven like 3 years ago. And I had to really think, what's keeping me here? Why am I here still? Um And at that point, it was because I was being an example for my community. I was out there making a difference and showing, little brown girls that yes, you can ascend to this level. Um, but I knew I couldn't do it for that reason. I had to make my own um, inner all of the inner thoughts that I was having about brain health and how I wanted people to age well and watching my parents. Okay, so my parents actually retired at the age of 55 and 53. So watching them age over these last 30 years, and how they have aged well. Like they've aged pretty well, but they have not um, done strength training. They have not done the things that I would want them to do until now. Like now they are, and I'm seeing a difference in them. I see the
mm,
vitality in them. When that my mom gets up every morning and lifts weights and has her protein shake and does all the things that we know that they're supposed to do, right?
I
So
love it.
she's doing all that stuff. And my dad's, still really active and walking around and doing his stuff. And just seeing that, I knew that there were so many other people that needed that information, that needed and wanted that information. Like they shouldn't. I just don't want people to accept that as we age, and I'm aging. I'm about to be 50 years old in the next few months. And I'm like, I want us to age, my generation, Gen X, to age really well.
Hmm.
And I know that Social Security might not be around for us. So we
Right.
might need to continue to work a little bit past that golden age of 62, or 65 or 67 or whatever it is. So we need to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves because no one's coming
How?
to take care of
Oh, yeah.
us.
Nobody's coming for us. How many years were you at the VA?
11.
Okay. So do you have, like, government pension of some kind and things like that vested at all?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that happens. I think you get vested after 5 years and you keep it.
Okay.
So I'll have
So
that
you're
when I
right.
retire.
Like, the reason I'm asking is I do feel like we're almost the same age. I'm about to be 49, so you're like a year ahead of me, but it sounds like we have
Hmm.
close birthdays. Are you a September baby?
No, December.
Oh, okay. I'm
I was one of
September.
those gypped
So,
kids.
um, but I think for our parents, right, the the epitome of success was to make it like to be able to retire at like 53 or 55. Like that was winning
Mhm.
for them.
Yeah,
And I think
definitely.
when I was in my 20s, I don't know if you felt the same, but like I just kind of adopted that, was like, okay, yeah, that would be the goal, right? Like get a good job, save a lot of money and retire at 50. Now that I'm almost 50, what would I do if I retired tomorrow? I have no intention of retiring like ever, or definitely not for the next 20, 30 years because I have so much energy and so many ideas and I'm having
Mhm,
so much
mhm.
fun. I don't know what you feel, but
Right.
like I think for me, something that's happened in the last few years, I've talked to a lot of other women who feel the same way, is like we're entering this like post, if you've had children, like post child rearing phase of life that I think 20, 30 years ago was kind of like, you're done, retire, like you're a grandma now. And for us, that's not it. We instead have this like 10, 20-year period without the distractions, perhaps of motherhood if we had children, to focus on what we really want to do. And I'm curious, like, was that part of it for you too? Like deciding it's not just about being the model for the community, it's also about doing what I wanna do, like, what's my purpose in this life?
So I did not have children young. My children
Okay.
are still in elementary school. One's getting ready to start middle school, so we're dealing with that.
I'm there with you. Mine are
Um,
9 and 13, so they're a little
yeah,
older than yours, but yeah.
mine are 9 and 11.
Okay.
So, it's, interesting. So with, I knew that they needed to see me happy
Mhm.
and they needed to see me thriving. Because me being, I was happy as a chief medical officer, but I always longed for so much more. And I don't want to live a life where I look back and with regret that I didn't at least try it. My parents, when I left General Motors, because they didn't realize that I was doing all of this. They didn't realize I was applying to medical school. And so I
Mm.
remember when I told my dad that I was leaving General Motors, he was like, "You doing what?
Yeah.
General Motors with the pension?" And I said, "Yes, I'm leaving." And he was like, "For what?" I said, "To go to this post-bac program, and then I'll go to medical school, and then I'll become a doctor." And they were like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. You gonna
Mhm.
do what?" And so he just had no clue that this was happening. And so now when I came back and said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to leave the VA and do this, 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 and this," they've been through that with me. So they were like, "Okay, do it. We know we've been here before and we know
They
that
trust you.
yeah, they were like, "We know that you're gonna make it happen." And so just go be with God and have fun with that. And they said, "We'll be right here to support you." And my husband, bless his heart, with my 2 babies back there,
Aw.
he has always been he is something. Like, I think that everything when people say everything happens for a reason, had that first relationship worked out, I would not be sitting here talking to you.
Mm.
I know that with it to my core. He is the person that is always in my corner and never questions when I came to him and said, "I'm leaving my job." And he said, "Okay." And he said, "Okay, what are you gonna do?" And I told him what I wanted to do. He said, "All right, let's figure it out."
I love it. My husband's the same, like, not that we have a perfect relationship. We're both psychiatrists, and people are like, "Oh, it must be nice to be married to a psychiatrist. I bet you never fight." No, that's not true. Of course we fight. But when it comes push comes to shove, like, he always has my back, and I always have his too. It's so important and such a blessing to have someone like that in your corner.
Oh, it is.
So tell me about your vision for what you're building and how you want to support this healthy brain aging. And it's not longevity, like, because you were just saying there's people with healthy brain
Longevity.
aging and longevity in general, right? That's this new buzzword, and all these
Oh, yeah.
people, the
Yeah.
Instagram influencers and everything, are talking about longevity and peptides and all these things. And we were just discussing how those things may push the envelope for the super healthy, super affluent, super educated few people who are out there talking about living forever, right? But then you and I know as physicians that the vast majority of Americans just really need to understand more basic advice that's been missing. Honestly, like the
Yeah.
fact that movement is so important and resistance training is so important. My grandmother My great grandmother lived to be 104. I don't think she ever worked out. My grandmother lived to be 87 and she smoked and drank a ton. So there's like longevity in genes in my family. But my
Mhm.
dad died at 70. He was not healthy, and my mom is not doing so well at 72. So I know that it really is dependent on what you do and how you take care of your body, right? And so
Yeah.
many people don't know that. So what is the main focus? What's your vision? Like what's your hope that your work here can do for people?
My hope is that from twofold, because I worked really hard to become a physician. Like, I worked
Mhm.
really hard to get to this point, and I wanna practice. So, I'm doing locums work part-time, and then in the other time that I'm not working that locums position, I'm working on building a platform for, um, really anyone, but I'm gearing it more towards people who are Generation X, um, millennials who are getting to the point where they understand they're seeing their parents age. They're also taking care of these kids, and they're trying to figure out how they fit in from a brain health standpoint. Because I
Mhm.
feel like, you know, you're a psychiatrist, I'm a neurologist, we are under the same boards, and
Mhm.
we know that the brain controls everything. And if your brain is not functioning correctly, nothing else matters. Your
Mhm.
consciousness is everything. So I feel like if I can get people to understand how to take better care of their brain, I can change the trajectory of how this country and how this world ages.
Mhm.
If they could just have that knowledge to understand and then act on that knowledge and give them practical ways to act on that knowledge to actually become better aged brains. Like that is my vision is that we are you and I are talking 10 years from now, and now we're talking 20 years from now, and you and I are talking 30 years from now, still having this conversation about brain aging, but having it just as sharp as we are right now.
Yeah.
That's what I envision, that we just don't slow down. We continue to push ourselves so that we can have the longevity that is really out there and accessible for everyone.
I love it. So what is this platform? Like how can people find out about you? If there's other physicians who want to support you on this, how can they reach out to you?
So right now, I'm in the building stages.
Okay.
And the way that they can reach out to me is I'm on Instagram. I'm Dr. Kim Neurodoc on Instagram and TikTok. I also have a weekly free. People ask me, is it free? It's free. Newsletter, a weekly free newsletter called The Bluff. And with my business background, I would always ask people, what is the bottom line up front? Tell me what you want to tell me very quickly. Give me what's in it for me, why I need to listen to you with your proposal. And so I thought this would be perfect for me to do for a weekly newsletter to give people the bottom line up front. But now it's called the brain line up front because I'm trying to focus on brain health.
Mm,
They can sign up for that. There's a link in my bio, or they can go to my website, drkimberlyjhatchett.com, and sign up for the newsletter there, where those that are on the newsletter are part of the community. That way they'll get the first information once this platform becomes into fruition. And our goal is to go live with this in 2026.
amazing. Amazing. All right. Well, so we covered a lot of ground today, Kimberly. I really enjoyed our conversation and talking about how you became a TEDx speaker, talking about the tenacity that it took for you to even become a physician, the bravery that you've exhibited in leaving a sure thing at the VA hospital to going out and doing on your own, your new venture to preserve brain health in millennials and Gen X as we age. So thank you so much. Everyone, the connections that she mentioned will be in the show notes. And you can feel free to follow her on Instagram. That's where you are mostly, and also on TikTok. But it was really great talking to you and so nice to meet you. I'm going to send you an email. Thanks, Kimberly. Bye.